When my parents bought the house on Cedar Row, they believed they had found peace. The street was quiet. Trees leaned over the sidewalks like tired old men. Every house looked the same: white fences, trimmed lawns, and closed curtains. It felt safe, predictable, normal. The realtor smiled too much when she handed over the keys. She never mentioned the people next door. Their names were Eleanor and Raymond Morris. We met them the day after we moved in. My mother was unpacking boxes in the living room when the doorbell rang. I opened the door and saw a tall, thin man standing stiffly on our porch. His back was straight, his lips tight, his eyes sharp like they were measuring us. Behind him stood a woman with gray hair pulled into a tight bun. She smiled, but her eyes didn't. "I'm Raymond Morris," the man said. His voice was cold, formal. "This is my wife, Eleanor." They didn't step forward. They didn't ask how we were. They didn't welcome us. Instead, Raymond pointed at our yard. "You should be careful with your fence," he said. "It's very close to the property line." My father blinked. "The fence was already here when we bought the house." Raymond nodded slowly. "That doesn't mean it's correct." Eleanor smiled wider. "We just like things done properly." Then, without another word, they turned and walked away. I remember thinking it was strange. I didn't know that was just the beginning. A week later, we met their son. His name was August Morris. He looked about my age, maybe early 20s, tall and broad-shouldered. He always wore dark clothes, hoodies, boots, heavy jackets even when it wasn't cold. The first time I saw him, he was standing in their driveway, staring at our house. Not casually, staring. When I waved, he didn't wave back. He smirked. Later that night, my dad muttered, "That kid gives me a bad feeling." August didn't speak much, but when he did, it was sharp and cruel. Once, my little sister was playing in our backyard, kicking a ball near the fence. August suddenly appeared on the other side. "You better keep that thing off our land," he snapped. She froze. "That's our yard," she whispered. August leaned closer to the fence, his face inches from hers. Not for long. He walked away laughing. The first letter arrived 2 months later, came in a thick white envelope with no return address. Inside was a formal-looking document with bold letters. At the top, "Final notice, property dispute." My parents read it at the kitchen table. My mother's hands began to shake. The letter claimed that our fence was illegally built on Morris property. It demanded that we remove it immediately or face legal action. It listed a law firm we had never heard of and a number that demanded $380,000 in damages. My father laughed at first. "This has to be a mistake." But my mother wasn't laughing. The letter was written too well, too official. The next day, my father called the law firm. The number didn't exist. He searched the firm online. Nothing. No website, no address, no records. It wasn't a mistake. It was fake. When my father confronted Raymond Morris, the man didn't deny it. Raymond stood behind his fence, hands folded neatly, like a man waiting for a confession. "That letter was a warning," he said calmly. "You are occupying land that does not belong to you." My father held up property documents. "We checked. The survey is clear. The fence is ours." Eleanor appeared beside her husband. Her smile was gone. "Surveys can be wrong," she said, "and problems can become very expensive." August stood behind them, arms crossed. He was smiling. "If you're smart," August said, "you'll move the fence." "And if we don't?" my father asked. August's smile widened. "Then things get unpleasant." That night, the noises started. At first, it was small, loud banging at midnight, heavy footsteps pacing along the fence, something scraping metal against metal. Then it got worse. Music blasted at 3 in the morning, deep bass that rattled our windows, screaming laughter, the sound of glass breaking. One morning, my father found scratches carved into our fence, long, deep lines, like claws. Other times he stayed, pacing the yard late at night, talking to himself, yelling at shadows. We heard shouting from their house, screaming, glass breaking. Once, we heard Eleanor crying. Another time, we heard Raymond begging. But the next morning, they stood outside like nothing happened. Perfect posture, perfect smiles, like monsters wearing human skin. The night we decided to leave was the night everything almost ended. I was home alone. My parents were out. My sister was staying with a friend. At exactly 17 a.m. the power went out. The house fell into darkness. Then I heard it. Footsteps on our porch. Slow, heavy. The door handle began to turn back and forth. Testing. My heart pounded so loudly I was sure they could hear it. Then a voice whispered through the door. "Open up." It was August. "I just want to talk." I didn't move. The handle stopped. Silence. Then a soft laugh. "Next time," he whispered. Footsteps faded. The power came back on. I sat on the floor until sunrise. The next day, my parents put the house up for sale. We moved away quietly. No goodbye. No closure. For the first time in years, I slept without fear. I thought it was over. I was wrong. 3 months later, I received a call from an unknown number. The voice on the other end was shaking. "Did you hear about the Morris family?" My stomach dropped. "No," I said slowly. "What happened?" There was a long pause. Then the voice whispered, "August is back and something terrible has happened next door." The line went dead, and that was when I realized we hadn't escaped the nightmare. It had only just begun.